Okay, basically I'm just summing up my day in a nutshell. I saw Wikipedia's blog, and I felt kind of inspired to do the same thing, albeit from a different point of view. This is intended for anyone, though, so anyone who sees this, feel free to watch it. So, what's going on? Well, this morning I was on Facebook and I saw this cause for abortion. You know, sorry, my computer just like did something weird on me. Um, support abortion and whatnot. And I was thinking to myself, this is worthwhile. And while I was on the page, I thought of this great analogy um, that comparing a fetus to a baby is like comparing a maggot to a fly. And that sounds horrible, but think about it for a minute. Really think about it. I mean, seriously. Don't just say I'm stupid. Um, a fetus is not a human being yet. It is in the process of becoming a human being. It would not be a human being, or in the process of becoming a human being, when before the moment of conception. Now, after that point, it is in the process of becoming a human being, the same way a maggot is in the process of becoming a fly. Maggots feed on dead meat or rotting flesh or whatever have you, and then they become a fly. Now, fetuses are the same way, albeit totally different. They are in the womb of a woman, and they grow and grow and grow, or the fetus grows, and it becomes a baby. And then it's born because it's self-sufficient. When a maggot becomes a fly, it's self-sufficient, so it flies off somewhere. Um, just because, my point being is just because it um, technically is not wrong, does not make it right. The Chinese are known for killing their children because they have too many. They have too many. They have too many babies, and they can't support the population. So they say, hey, let's kill, um, the third child. You can have no more than two children, and that's it. So they're they're killing all of these babies after they're born. Now, what we're doing is slightly different. We're not using force, and they're not technically babies yet. But think about the similarities. They're horrifying. The similarities are, because it's just so eerily close to the same thing. They're killing the babies after they're born. We're killing the babies before they're born because they're not babies yet. It's not wrong. Technically, it's right because it's not wrong. That's not right. Okay? Saying it's technically not wrong is not the same thing as saying it's right, and there should be a clear distinction there. That's why I personally hold abortion to be wrong, and I argued with him about it, etc., etc. Now, let's see here. I posted this as my status, and I got a bunch of replies. I got a bunch of comments, of course, because it's abortion and it's a hot topic. And there's this one guy, always says something, and it's almost never in agreement with me. Even if it is saying the same thing that I'm saying, it does not agree with me. He does not agree with me, even if we're saying the same thing. Usually, though, 99% of the time, we have totally different views. He's atheist, I'm Christian. He's anarchist, I am democratic, I guess you'd say, like pure democracy, mob rule. So, a common question in my mind is, what are the ethical consequences to debating this stuff. What are the ethical, let's see, what's going to happen when someone goes and sees such hateful, you know, hateful language all the time from both Christians and atheists? What's going to happen 20 years in the future when people that don't even really know anything about either of those are seeing these comments and they're saying, wow, that is hateful, or wow, that is mean, or wow, that is offensive? What are they going to say? Um, and as this guy is more of a scientific person, I'm more of a literature person. He likes to find out why things work and how they work. I like to find out why humans work, and how they work, how their emotions and their characters dictate their actions. He likes to figure out why there are humans. Slight difference, but there is still that underlying question of why. The difference between me and him, though, and I'm not saying I'm better than him, I'm not saying he's better than me, is when I have a friend who is gay. I've had this friend for many years, and she's openly bisexual. And as a Christian a long time ago, in ignorance, I said that it's wrong to be gay. I said it's wrong. It's wrong. It's clearly wrong. And he would come up to me, and he would open that subject up with me when I was in front of her. And it would crush her feelings, because I would have to say something. I can't just tell him, I'm not going to debate it now, I'm with my friend, because then I would be a hypocrite. So I had to say something. And, I had no basis to judge gay people. I have no basis to judge anyone as a Christian. That is a fact. It is clearly stated in the Bible, and if you disagree with me, read the Bible, because it clearly says that. I'm not here for debating I'm not here for debating my belief in Christianity. I'm here to make the simple point that sometimes broaching those subjects with people just because they believe something differently from you, sometimes that makes you the aggressor and the person who is doing wrong in the eyes of everyone else, even though you might be right in your eyes. 20 years in the future, people may see things completely differently. I might be killed because of my beliefs, because of these words that are being stated now. You'd say, that's nonsense. No one would do that within reason. Well, not everyone's reasonable. That's the human character as dictated. They're dictated by their feelings sometimes, and so thusly, sometimes people act in ignorance. That is why things happen that are not good. And sometimes that's why things happen that are good. So, I guess what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way is that acting in such a way, in such an ethical and moral ignorant way, is in itself deprecating or depreciating the very things that you're arguing for. I called him a moral Frankenstein because the things he said are exactly like the things that Frankenstein's creature says. Frankenstein was actually the scientist who created the monster. And it reads, I found myself similar, yet at the same time strangely unlike, to the beings concerning whom I read and to whose conversation I was a listener. I sympathized with and partly understood them, but I was unformed in mind. I was dependent on none and related to none. The path of my departure was free, and there was none to lament my annihilation. That is page 9 of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And what he said was, a woman owes nothing to society, so society should not expect her not to get an abortion. And I said, you're a moral Frankenstein. Be quiet. Um, I didn't say be quiet. I wasn't like a jerk about it, but I was like, why would you say that? You know, Frankenstein, it's not like everyone has nothing that they owe to society. I'm not even going to argue that because that's very unclear. It wasn't even stated clearly. But anyways, and then, I was thinking, most atheists do this, don't they? Most atheists have this kind of aggressor status, go out and show that religion is um, false, a logical fallacy, a scientific fallacy, you know, go out and show everyone this. Make YouTube videos about it, per se. Um, and then I saw a YouTube video by Pat Condell, one of the better known bloggers, and I said, here's this guy. And I've seen his videos before, and he usually insults Christians. I mean, deeply insults Christianity as a whole. And what he said was, the Christians who judge are hypocrites, which is what I say. Exactly the same thing, despite boundaries. Um, Despite red tape between ideology, the ideological choices that people make. Sorry, that's a tough word for me for some reason. Um, and I said, you're right. You're right. Even though you're different, I don't care. You're right. And nothing will ever change that. So, really, the point of all of these debates, I've found, isn't really the technicalities behind the debate. It's the hypocrisy of the individuals debating. So therefore, it makes an ad hominem argument entirely acceptable because the beliefs themselves, the Bible, whatever, scientific research, all of that itself, if you look at it in essence, you cannot criticize it. The texts themselves are pretty much untouchable. That goes for any religion and all of science, unless it's like some exploded theory from like 1,000 years ago, like I don't know, Cornelius Agrippa, as stated by Frankenstein, anyway. um, but anyway, uh, so yes, the texts themselves are untouchable, but it is the people purporting things that aren't true that is criticized. That is what makes Christianity criticized in the first place. That's what makes atheism the same way. I mean, it's the same. It's human ignorance that causes such debates. It's not the religion itself. It's not the lack of belief in God itself. It is the fact that people in ignorance wildly judge other people. They wildly act out. And so, in a lot, kind of reasonable sense, it is an ad hominem argument entirely. Because all of history is ad hominem. Is people who did things. Their character is shown by the things that they did that changed history. Hitler killed, millions of Jewish people because he hated Jewish people. That is an ad hominem argument. He was motivated to do that because of his hatred. There is no getting around it. So really, we must consider that when we are debating. And we must be careful when we throw that first punch at someone who believes something differently. Because you know what? 20 years from now, that punch might be coming right back at us. Anyway, that's my first blog for today, and that's pretty much all that happened today. So, ciao.